Welcome to India Talks, featuring newsmakers from the Indian community in Indonesia. This program is produced by Q Channel, the channel for decision makers, in collaboration with Indoindians.com, a community portal serving the Indian community in Indonesia. I'm Poonam Sagar and the host for this show. We'll be talking to successful Indian businessmen and entrepreneurs who stand out in the crowd and are an inspiration to all of us. Today we have with us Mr. KK Ralhan, who has been dynamic and energetic as his own energy company, PT Kaltimix Energy. Hello, Mr. Ralhan. It's a pleasure to have you here on our show.
Thank you very much, Poonam. It's a pleasure to be here with you as well.
When and how did you come to Indonesia?
Poonam, it dates back to 25 years, 1980. I was working for a quasi-Indian government company called Engineering Export Promotion Council. And they had posted me here at that time, but India had hosted a engineering exhibition in '79 in Indonesia, and then the council decided that we should have an office, and I was the one who was chosen at that time, and that's how I happened to be here. So I'm here in Indonesia since last 25 years.
Wow, that has been quite a journey. It's been 25 years, and now over the years you have your own energy company. Can you tell us a little more about your company?
Yes, I started, in fact, it didn't happen with an accident, but it's a series of events which took place. But the company came into existence in 1996. I was the majority shareholder at that time, but the company, before it was spun off as an independent company, it was a part of a group called Kaltimix Group.
Okay.
And I was in charge of the energy division at that time. But we had done a series of good projects, and the projects had taken off. And then the president director of Kaltimix Jaya, under which this energy division was there, decided to spun off the division and form a separate company. And he did recognize the good work which I had done it. But he's a wonderful person. I mean, he loves to make entrepreneurs, and I was fortunate to become one at that time.
How did that happen? You mentioned that you were in Australia and you raised funding for a certain project, which was very successful. And then after that, you got into the energy company and had your own.
That's right. Poonam, when I came in 1980, I worked for the council for about 7 years. And after that,
so you were
left.
with Export Promotion Council of India in Indonesia for 7 years.
That's right, 80 to 87. And then council asked me to come back. And at that time, of course, I had 2 kids and the wife. And as the democratic tradition is, that we started to have votes who would like to go back to India with me and who will not. And obviously, there were 3 against 1. My kids, who had just started to go, one of the kids, the Purnima, my daughter, started to go to JIS. She didn't want to go, son refused to go, and of course Jayashri, who was working at that time, also refused to go. So the choice for me was automatically made. So we decided to stay back in Indonesia. Now, after that, I worked for a year in a company called Gunanusa Engineering. Mr. Iman Tawfiq is a dear friend of mine. He's a wonderful businessman himself. So worked for him for about a year or so, and then Mr. Rustam Effendi, who happens to be my guru, guide, and philosopher, if I may. He has influenced me a lot, of course, over the years, and I decided to join him. He invited me, and after working for a couple of years in his outfit, which I started to establish a trading division, and it ventured on to helping him in his Australian operations, and that is how I raised some financing for the Australian operations and went to Australia, and then came back and decided to have a representative office of one of the companies called Modra Electric Power, and the rest, as they say, Poonam, is all history.
You mentioned Rustam Effendi being your guru and guide. Apart from Mr. Rustam Effendi, who others would you say have been major motivators in your life?
Well, very interesting question, and to be honest, Poonam, there have been a couple of more which I owe a lot. Of course, everyone loves parents, and they have been tremendous influence on everyone. But I think I started to change. There were 2 other people who brought in a paradigm shift in not only in my thinking, but then how I progressed in future after that point of time. The first one at that time was none other than my dear wife, Jayashree. I married her in 1973, and things started to change without my prompting it or without my noticing it, as if I had some raw energies being diversified in all the directions, and she was the one who started to channel in one direction. And she has been and continues to be a very dominant influence in my life, and all positive, Poonam, if I may say that. So after that, she came in my life. She not only acted as channeling my energy, but there was a sort of an internal competition. She is an engineer by profession, like myself.
I see. Is she in the same field of engineering as yourself?
Yes, Poonam, she is also a mechanical engineer. And you know, then all of a sudden I found that I was sort of competing with her. I never thought that she was competing with me, but I started to think that I was competing with her, because when we were in Bangalore, that was the first job where we met, we got married. I moved on to Delhi, worked for a multinational company, Frick India, joint venture with Frick USA. She also came to Delhi, worked there. But then she was the one who got the postgraduate diploma in Holland for the quality control management.
I believe she left for Holland and left you with, and you took care of the little baby.
Absolutely. Purnima was just about a year or less old. And I had no problem because I was staying with my parents, so everyone chipped in and she was confident. But that sort of, if I may, egged me on that, look, KK, you've got a few more peaks to reach. And so she had been a motivating factor as well, besides being helping me subtly to compete and grow. So she came back, and I had arranged her interview in Engineers India Limited, which was a very growing company in collaboration with Bechtel.
We will talk more about Jayashree and how you and Jayashree grew together into being such fine, successful people here in Indonesia right after this break.
Minuman suplemen yang harganya segini.
Yang sasetan.
Bukan, yang botolnya.
Botol beling.
Aduh, Neng, itu loh yang ada gambar binatang.
Sapi nyeruduk.
Yang gini loh.
Itu mah pantes.
Cuma 1.500-an. Bisa?
Bikin melek, bikin segar.
Panther, bikin melek, bikin segar.
Melalui tes berikut ini, Anda akan menyaksikan rambut yang dikeramas dengan Dove shampoo akan senantiasa kembali seindah bentuknya semula. Dove shampoo seperempatnya adalah moisturizing cream. Dove shampoo, rasakan perbedaannya.
Bayangkan, jika suasana ini bisa Anda nikmati di rumah. Glade Spa, keharuman esensial oilnya yang 100% alami, membuat Anda rileks dalam suasana spa di rumah. Glade Spa, relaksasi dengan aroma spa.
Kulit berminyak bikin masalah. Gak lagi tuh. Amin Control. Kan ada Nivea Visage Oil Regulating dengan mineral sebum regulator, aktif mengontrol kadar minyak berlebih hingga ke sumbernya. Kulit sehat tidak mengkilap dengan rangkaian oil regulating dari Nivea Visage.
Hello, welcome back to India Talks. And today we have with us Mr. K.K. Ralhan, and he's telling us about how he moved from India to Indonesia and has established himself in the energy industry here in Indonesia. Hello, Mr. Ralhan.
Hi, Puna.
We were talking about Jayashree and how she went to Holland, and then when she came back after 9 months, you took her to Engineers India Limited. And she went directly from the airport.
Exactly. As I remember that, the interview was set up in such a way, and that as she landed, she straight away went into the conference room with about 6 or 7 top executives of EIL, and she came back absolutely radiant with her overcoat flowing because she had come from Holland. And if I remember correctly, jogging back my memory, she mentioned that as she ended, she knew that she will be selected. And I think one of the top interviewers, I think his name was Mr. Pathak or something like that, he said that, look, the moment you entered, I had decided that she's going to work for us. I'm not sure whether she answered all the questions correctly in the interview or not, but she was certainly selected. And at that time, it was a very premier company. And then I decided to move on as well, from one company to the other, till I reached probably at the same level or beyond.
Okay. And the other person that you mentioned has been an influence in your life?
Yes, Poonam, I said there have been one other person who have been influential in setting my mindset and bringing a paradigm shift. And the other person is none other than Dr. R.K. Singh, who happened to be the executive director at that time of Engineering Export Promotion Council. I happened to be at that time his blue-eyed boy. And then he decided to put me not into developed country offices, because EPC had lots of offices at that time.
Yeah.
But he chose Indonesia, and he says, I know it's a developing country and you and your wife would excel there, and that is the country I choose for you, and you must go there. And Poonam, besides that, I learned a lot of other things from Dr. R.K. Singh, as how to take some quick decisions and independent decisions, and how to find the win-win solutions and move on. I think these three people, besides Jayashree and Dr. R.K. Singh and Rustam Effendi, I think, of course, I always say that the people or incidences do influence your life, but I always believe that if I put my risks on x-axis and my rewards on the y-axis, then there is another axis called z-axis, which is left to him, and which is when all the planets align and things have to gel. I think then ultimately, of course, I thank to him to put me in this position, and that I certainly feel that I'm doing the right things and doing things right as well, and I'm at the right place at the right time.
It's really interesting because earlier when I was talking to you and you mentioned that Jayashree went to Holland, and you did not join her in Holland, and you said, look at me now, I have been to every corner of the world. How do you feel about that now?
Poonam, if I remember back, Jayashree was kind at that time. She was on a stipend, and she asked me to join her during the last couple of weeks or so. Leaving Purnima behind was not a problem with the parents, but to be honest, I didn't have money to buy the ticket to go and join her. So it was that stage way back in 1975 perhaps, or late 74, early 75. And today, as we talk about 30 years down the line, there is not a place in the world which I can't touch, or probably I won't be.
You know, in your journey, in your career, what do you think are the most important qualities of an entrepreneur?
Poonam, since I will be completing a 10-year of my independence or doing something which I love most, and the last 10 years have been absolutely fabulous and satisfying and enjoying as well, I personally feel that if one wants to be an entrepreneur, they have to let their dreams fly. They should not check their dreams. Then the next step would be to see that their dreams are realistic dreams. They are not unrealistic dreams.
So how would you judge that, whether they are realistic or unrealistic?
I always feel, Poonam, that everyone has to evolve their dreams around their core competency. Like, for example, I'm an engineer, and I knew that being an engineer, I cannot go into the film production.
Okay.
Because that was not my forte.
Yeah.
So I had to confine something which is very close to my core competency. And then you can always have the building blocks, build around that, and venture into the fields which you want to. So I think that's what I mean with the realistic dreams.
That you should
have.
build around your skills and talents.
Absolutely.
So that you can grow further.
Absolutely, and you keep on honing them. And the other thing is that tenacity and remaining steadfast in what you undertake and what you do. I think these are the very key factors in to be a successful entrepreneur. Not to mention the good people. I emphasize a lot because I personally feel it is not the money which makes money, it is the people which make money. And then you've got to be with the right people. And I am very fortunate to have a wonderful team around with me.
At many a time in gatherings, I've heard you mention the term, you make gold from garbage. How do you do that? That's just amazing.
I know, the garbage to gold, it came in because Poonam, we have got the technology where we can incinerate the waste, literal waste, and produce electricity. And that's what I literally mean, that to turning from garbage to gold. You see, there are opportunities abound in front of us all the time.
Yeah.
It depends upon how you perceive those opportunities and how you can exploit that. And it is my desire